I'm thrilled to have you here for this information session about the King's UX and UI Product Design Career Accelerator. Our goal today is very simple. We want to give you a real insider's view of how this program equips you with the tools, the experience, and the confidence to succeed in a UX and UI and product design career. And here's what you can expect from this session. We'll start with introductions from our panelists. We'll explore the program's highlights and structures. You'll hear some real stories of transformation from our past learners. And then we will also have plenty of time at the end to answer any questions that you might have for the program. And on that note, I would love to introduce you to today's panelists, Judith and Justine. Judith, please would you share a brief introduction to yourself and your involvement in the King's UX and UI Product Design Career Accelerator? And then Justine, afterwards, if you'd kindly do the same, that would be great.
Excellent, thank you. Really great to be here and looking forward to sharing everything with everyone who's attended this session. So I'm one of the course facilitators here for the product design course, which previously was UX design, but we've obviously expanded what the course covers now as well. I am a lead product designer. However, I'm also a chief product officer. At the moment, I'm running my own startup, which is now turning into a scale up, which is has been a very interesting journey. Basically, I'm a design founder, so that's been a very, very great learning opportunity for me. Even though I'm the CEO and obviously responsible for product and UX design, I still do some of the design myself with various team members. So I always stay close to the craft. And so in terms of what I bring to the table for the kind of courses that join me, and my expertise is specifically health technology, which comes in really handy, especially when it comes to the employer project. So more about that later, but that's a bit of background for me. Oh, also, I am a career switcher as well. So I know a lot of you may be as well. I previously have worked in advertising and then wormed my way into the world of UX and product design through many years. So there's definitely been an element where I had to kind of recognize that, and yeah, I can definitely share some stories about that later as well.
Well, thank you, Judith. Justine, over to you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Justine Mooney. I am one of the career coaches at Fourth Rev, and I am also a career changer. So my background was in HR and recruitment and running large recruitment teams. And I've been coaching since about 2014. I am with Fourth Rev part of the week, and the rest of the week I run my own executive coaching business. So really, really enjoy the work that we do at Fourth Rev, helping people to transform their careers. It really is a career accelerator. It really does push you forward. I work as part of the coaching team. I think pretty much everybody in the coaching team is a career changer from some direction or another. And we're all fully qualified, very experienced, and absolutely love seeing people transform, the transformation that people take as they go through this journey with us. So really happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Danny.
Thank you so much to both of you being here today. I think it's going to be great for our audience to also hear a little bit more about, what's going on in the program and how you've supported some learners, but also your own personal experiences. So I'm really looking forward to today's session. Let's take a look at the kind of key benefits or what makes our career accelerators unique. Starting off with the King's College London, just the academic institute in which it is. And during the program, once you successfully complete it, you will earn a certificate from King's College London. You'll also get a lot of personal support during the program. You'll have a success manager to kind of guide you day in and day out, but you'll also have a career coach like Justine to support you through, whether it's looking at starting your career, changing your career, or advancing your career. You will have your own dedicated career coach to support you in that process. The content itself is industry aligned. Our curriculum has been co-designed with industry experts to ensure your skills are exactly what employers are looking for. So you have that marriage between the King's academics and then the industry relevance throughout the curriculum of the program. And then you will also build a portfolio of evidence. So it's, I would say about 50% of this program is practice-based. So you're not just learning the theory, you'll take part in real world projects and come away with a tangible work to showcase. If any of you, understand what the UX UI space looks like when you're looking for jobs, being able to present that digital portfolio of evidence is crucial. And that's something that we support you with throughout this program. If I could lean on our experts here a little bit, Judith, could you walk us through the program structure a little bit, the modules, a little bit more about the employer project that you leaked earlier on in your introduction, and any tools that the learners will get to use on the program?
Absolutely. So the course is basically, the overall course is divided into 4 sections. Effectively, the first one is where we learn how to kind of do research and analysis on an existing sort of project that may be in various stages of development. So we learn all of the tools and skills that we need for that initial kind of research and analysis. Then in course 2, we then look at how do we ideate, how do we come up with ideas, how do we then learn to wireframe and then test the initial design as well. And then course 3, we then move into creating UI design and developer handover notes. So kind of this follows through the process that a larger project or feature or anything like that you're working on will take. So the first 3 courses basically gets you through one whole kind of chunk of effectively developing your own solution. And then in course 4, which is the employer project, we actually get a live project from a live client, and we do a 6-week sprint effectively, where we propose a solution for them in 6 weeks, much more condensed, however, using all of the tools, resources, skills that you've learned in the previous 3 courses. And effectively, then you'll present to a live client at the end. You'll do this as a group project because that's how we can condense and accelerate as well, of course. In terms of the tools, you will learn to use, Miro is one that we kind of use as part of the project, even collaboration within the actual classes. But then Figma is obviously the tool of choice. Well, say that in the top 3, number 1 at the moment, tool of choice for UX and UI design. So you will be also learning how to use Figma. And of course, you'll also hone your presentation skills, which is a really, really big part of the job. Convincing others of you know what you're doing and you have really thought about it is definitely an art form. So we put a large emphasis on this.
Sounds like you're talking from a lot of experience there, Judith, in the last bit. Justine, would you like to explain a little bit more about the career coaching, how it works, how it helps our learners overcome challenges like career anxieties and preparing for interviews?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you join the Career Accelerator, you are allocated a career coach that stays with you throughout the whole of your journey for kind of a year, really. We're by your side as you go through the Career Accelerator. One of the first things that we try and work with you on is to get really clear on what your goals are. So why have you come to this Career Accelerator? What is it that you're hoping to get from it? And the goals vary enormously. They're very, very unique to you. We have people who are looking for a new job in a new company, people who are just starting out in their career and looking for their first UX or UI type role, people who are advancing in their career, who are looking for a promotion, maybe an internal move, and also people who are setting up on their own or already have an existing business and are looking to add some more skill set to their existing portfolio that they sell to their clients. So it's a real variety, which is where the joy of it is, I think, for us career coaches. Everybody is different. But we start off with really helping you work out what your goals are and what you want to get from it. and then we help you shape kind of milestones and an action plan that are going to help you get there. It really is dependent on you, and you will have a different style. So you might be somebody who really loves a lot of structure and a lot of plan and likes to know exactly what they're doing by when, or you might be more of a go with the flow kind of person, and it's more about just seeing where you get to and taking it from there. So your coach is really skilled at working in a way that best suits you. So you have one coach throughout the program who is basically your biggest cheerleader all the way through. But we also have other kind of resources that you can tap into. So we have a whole knowledge bank on our system, which has information kind of in written form. It has exercises, it has top tips, it has videos, all that kind of thing, to help you with specific parts of your journey. So if it's like I need to write my CV, we have a whole section on best practice in CVs, in digital careers, that kind of thing. We also run career sprints, which are 5 weeks of kind of getting you networking, because we know that can be the biggest fear that people face, is how they're going to get themselves out there and into the network. So we run career sprints, which are kind of group coaching sessions. And we also run other group coaching sessions around mindset shifting, CV drop-in sessions. We help you upgrade your LinkedIn profile. We help you with your portfolio. But it's all very, very tailored to you and your specific goal. So I hope that gives a flavor of it, Danny. Is that okay?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much, Justina. I mean, I really love how the curriculum and the content and the portfolio of evidence, all the practical projects on the program, they set you to look at the UX journey from start to finish, from research to prototyping. But everyone's journey on the program is so unique, and that's thanks to the career coaches and that individual support. Everyone's coming into the program with different goals, and you set them up for successfully achieving those goals. And speaking of one of those personal journeys, our next slide kind of shows a story from Rizal. So he was he said that the type of learning was incredibly practical for him. I was doing freelance projects for UX design, and I found that to be a really good way to embed everything that I have learned straight into real life application. Rizal wanted to use his UX knowledge to transition into the gaming industry, and today he's the co-founder of 1+1 Studios, which is a gaming startup. And thanks to the career coach and the career accelerator that he completed. I guess maybe I would ask both of you now, what is it like to watch these success stories unfold during the program? Do you have any, favorite moments, either with Rizal or with any of your other learners on the program?
I'll start with this one. So I'm actually immensely proud and impressed by Rizal. He was one of my students, and he was, I think, the biggest for me. I was like, kudos to this guy. He used to come to class, and it was 2 to 3 a.m. his local time. And he would always be there, and he did top-notch work. He really, really pushed himself. And even as kind of looking at his portfolio towards the end of the course, he was really kind of already very much focusing on game design. And he was just, he was clearly someone who was incredibly driven and really, really wanted to get the most out of the class. So I think very highly of him, and I'm very proud of his success. We also had some other students who in other cohorts ended up networking with each other, networking through LinkedIn, through, I can only speak from my experience and through sort of like my posts or my connections, but I know others who've done it through career coaches connections as well, that they just basically went out there very bravely and got in touch with someone and somehow ended up getting a project. And I think in particular, there's one lady from a previous cohort who I know has done one of these sessions as well. And she's now sort of a kind of like the lead product designer. To be fair, it's a small startup, but she's done a great job and a great job there, and she's actually did a little bit of work for my startup as well. So there's definitely a lot of success stories, and I think that the most important takeaway that I would like to impart is you will get out what you put in. That if you come to it and not sort of want to really push it and not recognize the value that's within, then you may feel like, oh, I've done a course and okay. However, the people who are really kind of coming out at the other end already kind of ripe for success are people who really pushed it and really kind of wanted to squeeze every drop out from it. So that would be my advice to you.
Yeah, I mean, that's great advice, and we see that time and time again. But whatever our learners put in is matched by the facilitators that support them, the career coaches, and it's really great to see those and hear those success stories. Thank you for sharing that. Justine, do you have any favorite moments from success stories?
It's so I excuse me, I haven't really got somebody who has landed in the role yet. The person I'm thinking of is still, because I've only been coaching with Full Rev since October, so I haven't had a whole kind of cohort go through yet. But the person I'm thinking of, I was actually talking to this week, and when I first met him back in October, he was incredibly shy, really reserved, very, very quiet. Not really sure about whether or not he would ever be able to call himself a UX UI product designer. It just takes a while, I think, to build the confidence to actually say, this is what I am. He's always worked really hard in the course, has always got really good grades through the course. And I could see as he was going through the work, as he was going through with the facilitators and actually getting great marks for course 1 and great marks for course 2, his confidence was building. And he started to talk about himself as a product designer. And just that flip into recognizing that actually I do have the skills, I do have the capability, I do know what I'm talking about now. And actually, so we worked together to reframe his LinkedIn profile so that it talks about him as a designer. He completely redid his CV with our support, and it is a product designer CV now. And he started to make connections. So he went through the career sprints with us, 5 weeks of network, building your skills. And that's group coaching. So everybody there's an accountability in there, there's support, there's different ideas, there's different ways of doing it. He did himself a list of the top 20 companies he wants to work with. And he started contacting those people on LinkedIn, cold contact, really outside of his comfort zone, but did it. One of them came back to him and said, I'll have a coffee with you. So he had a coffee and they had a chat, and he said this guy told him all about the company, all about how he got his product job there. And then he referred him into that company, and he has his interview on Tuesday next week. So our call this week, our coaching session this week, was all about celebration of that and what a big step forward that is for him, just demonstrating really how much he's grown through this program. But also we were then prepping for his interview, and there's a career coach that's part of what we do. We talked about what sort of questions might come up, what the format might be, what some good answers might be. He talked through, the horrible interview questions. So tell me about yourself. He has worked on his story, so he can talk really confidently about his journey from where he was to where he is now and why he is such a good fit for this role. So he's not quite there yet, but I have everything crossed for Tuesday because he's going to be a star. He'll be sitting where Rizal is this time next year, I'm sure.
Can't wait to host his AMA session.
Yeah. His confidence has just grown immensely. It's been brilliant.
It's I do find a lot of learners that I support through the enrollment process come in with a lot of imposter syndrome. What other kind of common challenges do you think some of the learners face, and how do you help them move past it, similar to this story?
Definitely the confidence thing, the imposter syndrome is definitely there. People carry all sorts of blocks and barriers with them from previous work experiences or previous life experiences. We do quite a lot of work with reframing. challenges, or we run a group coaching program around mindset shifting, where we talk about understanding what your particular saboteurs are, what are the things that particularly hold you back, and finding some strategies, tactics, methods to overcome those saboteurs and put them back in their quiet space where they need to stay. So definitely a lot of mindset, but there's also some really practical stuff. We see a lot of LinkedIn profiles that don't really talk to the industry or the sector that people want to be in, and a lot of CVs that are not going to get through an applicant tracking system, for example, and get into interviews. So it's both kind of the emotional, the psychological stuff that we work with, as well as the very practical, very tactical, CV, LinkedIn, career story, portfolio, interview prep, first 100 days in your new role. How are you going to succeed? So it's kind of the balance of both.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that, Justine. Yeah, I think watching those learner journeys must be very fulfilling.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Let's talk a little bit about building a successful future in UX and UI, and getting some insights and advice from our expert panel here. What advice do you have for someone pursuing a career in UX and UI product design? Judith, maybe I'll call on you first.
No problem. So in terms of the kind of career side, the kind of number one most important thing in this field is to kind of come out of your shell, which sounds very counterintuitive because so many of us are actually quite introverted, which is why we end up coming to this field. However, it's important to recognize that most of the other people in the industry are also quite introverted, and due to the fact that this particular job needs a huge amount of empathy, most people you'll encounter within the industry will be very, very sensitive, empathic, good listeners. It's a part of the job. And so I actually always found that most people I've interacted with, even just on LinkedIn, have always been kind and not sort of people who would not expect me to get in touch with them. So when I say come out of your shell, what I mean is that it's really, really important to network within this industry, because a lot of the jobs that come up or even avenues to progress are often hidden, and you need people to open doors or perhaps recommend you or recommend other stuff to you. And it's important to have a presence. And I don't mean try to create a crazy LinkedIn profile that has 10,000 followers, but rather go to some networking events or get in touch with someone who you may have posted a job and be brave about it. So that's part of the career, finding a job part, of course, and finding a new job eventually. However, the coming out of your shell is also very important for what I alluded to earlier, is the presentation element, that presenting your ideas and your truth is, I'm going to say, in my opinion, it's the most important skill to have in this job. And of course, you need to be able to do the work to have your truth, but to be able to communicate it, without it, you are not going to be able to progress. So my number one advice is that consider that you will have to look at coming out of your shell, which is exactly what Justine was talking about, how important that is. So that would be my number one. I'll probably have some other smaller tips coming to me, but I just thought I'll summarize this one.
That's a great starting point. I'm sure as the participants and learners start the program, more tips and tricks of the trade will come through. Do you have any top tips for building a standout portfolio?
So this is a hotly debated topic within the industry. We normally teach you what a good portfolio looks like. We'll give you some examples, and often in your one-to-ones, people will kind of come to us and say, can you have a look and can you give us advice? And to be fair, I have past learners contacting me on LinkedIn often, like, do you mind just giving it a look? So we will give you basically all of the kind of tools and information and guidance to build a good portfolio. It's very important that even if UI is not your main skill, to make it very presentable, and it could be grayscale, but make sure that it's presentable, because we're all biased by what it looks like. And also make sure that it clearly shows the process of all of your projects. The reason why the process is so important is because most recruiters, or well, sort of like head of product or recruiters or head of design, they will assess your seniority based on your approach to the overall process that you undertake for all types of projects. And it might be even a test project that they just put in front of you and say, how would you go at this? So always focus on showing the process that you've taken for your example projects, and also the successes at the other end. Sometimes people forget that, of what were the metrics, how did this impact the organization, or perhaps did it win an award, or did a lot of users say this is a great functionality, or anything like that. So definitely make it look presentable. Definitely focus on process, and effectively just make sure that kind of like the rest of the kind of bits of success, etc., are all included. And then if you couple that with talking to people directly, it's probably going to give you some successes.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much. Justine, do you have any advice for someone pursuing a career in UX and UI product design?
I think so. So when I'm thinking about building a standout portfolio, I'm thinking about the personal branding that comes through in the portfolio, because you can do it any color, any font, any photo type images that you want, but it kind of needs to tell the story of you. So we work as coaches, we work with people on what is their personal brand, what is their personal story that they're seeking to tell. And I think that is particularly important in UX, UI, and product design, because you are thinking about your end user of this portfolio. You're thinking about your audience for your LinkedIn profile. You're thinking about who is going to read your CV, and you're needing to use the skills that you're getting from the course to make sure that you're telling a clear and concise and compelling story about you to your target audience. So I think you can use a lot of the skills that you learn in the course to help promote you, because you are the product. You are the product that the end user is going to use. So I think there's an awful lot of crossover between what you learn in the course from Judith and what you do when you start to build your personal brand, your own marketing materials and collateral, and tell your own story. So, but I think that also needs to be consistent, so that people can resonate with it and recognize that when they look at your CV and then they go to your LinkedIn, you look like the same person, and then they look at your portfolio and you look like the same person again. And that builds that trust, doesn't it? That you're consistent and they are getting what they believe they're getting when they hire you. I have no idea if I answered your question, Danny.
You know what you did, and it's only going to stand our viewers in good stead, all the advice and feedback that they can get. Judith, in terms of your experience and how you're looking at the UX landscape at the moment, how do you think AI is being used best in this industry?
Just before I move on to that, I just wanted to add to Justine's comment on regarding making your portfolio kind of like the same as your LinkedIn, and make sure that you communicate who you are. An important point there, that if you are only comfortable in the research space, as part of the course, we will all be encouraging you to identify what are your strengths within the specific process, because you may be doing a product design course, but over the course, you might realize that actually what I really enjoy is research. And then make sure that you identify that and try to go in that direction, and don't try to push UI if you feel like that's not for you. And likewise, and then make sure that your portfolio reflects it. So that's what I wanted to add. Like, don't be frightened that if you feel like visual design may not be your comfort zone, don't feel like that's what you have to represent about yourself, because it's not going to tell the true story of who you are. So that's, I know I get that question a lot from people going, I'm worried, I don't know if I can make this look good. And then I just say, look, a lot of researchers have grayscale portfolios and it does a really good job, and it's fine.
Yeah. I think it is important to remember that there are a lot of UX, UI adjacent, career paths around that. And something that this program will help you identify, like you said, is where those strengths are and where that interest is for you, and kind of narrow it down a bit more.
Yeah, and by the time you get to the employer project, a lot of people start to realize that about themselves, and they kind of see that they might volunteer for one part of the group activity, but for the other, they might say, I think that other person, I'd rather leave them to it. And it does come with that group dynamic as well in the employer project.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we
So
can keep
AI.
talking a bit more, let's chat a little bit of AI. What's happening in the industry there?
Yes. So because I obviously work across technology as well as design, it's a very interesting space that AI is kind of the latest shiny thing. So far, it's now starting to start its downward trajectory, at least in technology. We now see that a lot of the AI tools actually create probably an exponential amount of work for anyone who wants to manage what AI tools have created in technology. Now, I would like to suggest that that's probably going to happen in design as well. And I've seen this with some designers recently. There's a huge amount of tools for image generation, for frame generation, for content generation, so the tools of the trade really are being sped up by using AI kind of tools. Figma recently released something around that. There's a bit of research suggesting that when you use AI generators, you actually are not aware of what's happening and you immediately forget what's happening. So my rule of thumb is always feel free to use AI if you need to create some placeholder copy or whatever, but especially while you're learning, I would recommend not using AI tools, because you want to know how something is made. And then you can say, I'm going to use this thing to speed it up. But just using the speeding up tools and the kind of co-pilots, I think people kind of lose track of, you're kind of not aware of, you're losing learning abilities, learning potentials. So in terms of those tools for the trade, that would be my advice to you, that don't be taken aback by, this can be done by this and AI is going to take our jobs, which you hear everywhere. I don't think AI is going to take our job. I think it's just going to speed it up, but it's important to keep track of what's happening and make sure that we still practice our kind of tools and frameworks and whatnot. In terms of actual products being designed that are AI driven, a really big impact for our industry is anything that's conversational, chat based, perhaps voice based, which will be coming much bigger in the next few years. It puts a much bigger emphasis on designing journeys and conversational branching scenarios rather than actual visual design. If you imagine a chatbot that you can use on, say, I don't know, troubleshoot or return something from a large supplier, you will see that the experience is just a chat, kind of visually, it's just a chat function. But the interactions that you experience with them were very carefully designed. And so it changes how UX is being applied, what UX and product design is being applied for, and what we can use our skills for as well. Because a lot of those kind of, say, AI chatbots, traditionally 10 years ago, if someone was designing a chatbot, it would have been just a technology piece, but now UX is getting a much bigger billing. So there's a lot of interesting developments around the use of AI in terms of products and projects that we can work on, and it puts different emphasis on the types of skills that we use. So it's an interesting one to keep an eye out for, basically.
Yeah, we can't avoid AI at all. So it's about leveraging it and staying on top of it, really here. Thank you so much, Judith. Back to the Career Accelerator and how the program really helps learners fit studies into their busy lives. The program is structured, it's online, it's part-time. You spend about 20 hours a week dedicated to the program itself. And there's a lot of support on the program. So we mentioned the student success managers, the support from the career coach. I saw a question from the audience of whether the career coaches help you get a job. They certainly support you in achieving what your career goals are. And it's about that personal, unique work that you do with them throughout the program. The program also has weekly live sessions to attend. All of the live sessions are recorded. So if you're unable to attend them because of a scheduling conflict, the recordings are made available to you. And they're great sessions to be able to ask questions and talk about industry and curriculum relevant content in them. Maybe, Judith, I could ask you, what role does the course facilitator play in preparing learners for real world business scenarios through the program?
That's a very good question. So really, there's other kind of support teams that will help learners with basic troubleshooting. Where do you find, X materials, and so on. However, and then basically also some of those questions of like, what do you think I should use for this particular activity? Where do I submit? Our role as facilitators is really kind of just to show you what the industry requires you to know, what is best practice, what will work the best. So we are really there to kind of bring in a kind of, this is how you would do it in the industry and in the job. Whereas we of course also mark your coursework. We kind of are a little bit more the sort of real life example and real life kind of guidance, particularly around if I don't feel comfortable using Figma, how about I use Sketch, discussing pros and cons of that. Also, especially with the employer project, and that's actually a live project, as I've mentioned earlier. So that's in particular, you'll get effectively half hour each week with myself or another facilitator. And we don't just act as, say, your UX lead, but we also try to kind of take the role of a product owner as well. So, or a product manager, what would kind of like other aspects mean for the work of, say, commercial or technology input. So we try to make the kind of both the submissions, the actual, and then the weekly sessions as well, very much sort of industry focused. And of course, the employer project then tops it all off. So there is a definite industry focus, which I don't believe other accelerators and courses have in such a degree. So I'm a really big fan of that one.
I mean, is definitely one of the advantages of taking career accelerators. You have the academic input from King's faculty and the theory and, looking through the product life cycle, but how you apply it in industry and the industry relevance and being able to ask industry specific questions to industry experts such as yourself, definitely a huge bonus to doing a program like this. So. Justine, how do you help learners define and achieve their career goals and prepare for interviews? I think this is bouncing off that question that we got in the Q&A channel about whether you help with the new roles.
Yeah, sure. So we take a really wide kind of view. So we start with really understanding what's worked well for you before, what is your career story so far, what do you then want to see that career story become? And then there are exercises that we have and resources that you can tap into around what are your values, what are your drivers, what are your preferences, what are your strengths, so that you build up a really clear picture of who you are and the value that you're going to bring, but also really what you want. We start to talk about what type of sector, or to Judith's point earlier, what type of role. Is it more on the research side? Is it more on the UI side? Are you thinking that you want to work more in a startup business where you get to do a bit of everything? Or do you want to be in a big corporate where you're part of a team that you can really kind of learn from, but have a more specific kind of role, what is going to suit you? Where are you going to fit? Where are you going to add most value? If you've worked in a sector before, it may be that you have value to add in that sector because you already have an existing network or some relationships there that you can tap into. So we help you kind of envision, picture who you are and what you want. And then from there, we help you either work out a structured plan or a go with the flow kind of plan, whichever is going to work best for you. So really, it does depend on you and what you want to do, whether it's a start your own business, a promotion that you're after, or a new job in a new company. And then as we work with you, we then can introduce you to resources, signpost you to things, give you access to exercises to help your thinking a bit more, reframe some of the barriers or the blockers that you may be coming up against and help you think about them in a different way. And then it's really practical support, helping you either write your CV and your profile statement if you're kind of self-employed person, your LinkedIn, your portfolio, and then helping you really connect with and find those hidden jobs in the market, because an awful lot of jobs, I think it's about 80% of the vacancies that people actually start working were never advertised. They've come through some sort of recommendation or referral, and that can be really scary. It feels quite safe to sit at a computer screen and apply to a vacancy because somebody's asked you to apply, so you're applying. But actually being the catalyst, making it happen for yourself, that can take quite a big, deep breath and a lot of support. And we give you strategies and tactics and help and encouragement to do that. And then once you have kind of made some connections and started to build out your LinkedIn portfolio so that you look like you belong in this industry, you look like you are a product designer, and you start to get into interview, we then help you with your interview process and negotiation and then being successful in your new role. We are not recruitment agents, so we don't find jobs for you, but we do help you work out your way of finding jobs that are going to suit you, and we support you with every step that we possibly can. But as Judith said earlier, you are going to get out of this what you put into it, and it's the people who really get clear on what they want early on and then work a process, work a plan, use the coaching, use the facilitators, use all the resources and put the effort in. They are the people who achieve the dream that they set out to get. So, and it's brilliant to see. It just fills us with joy, doesn't it, when we see it?
I mean, yeah, I couldn't imagine anything more fulfilling. And again, just testament to how unique every learner's journey is on this program.
Yeah.
If you haven't already, we'd love to hear from the audience. If you have any questions, please put them into the Q&A, and we can go through them. I'd also love to hear any kind of career aspirations from our audience, or what excites you most about UX and UI product design. While we wait for more questions to come in, maybe we can get to the ones that are already here. One question is there any flexibility with the overall course duration if trying to balance with a full-time job? The program does have set start dates, and our next intake is coming up on the 27th of October, and we do have set end dates with deadlines in between and submission dates, and you work with the pace of your cohort. What I will say, the Career Accelerator has been designed with the working professional in mind. So it is very flexible, it being completely online. It's a lot of the work being asynchronous, so you can work through it at your own pace, but within a specific time frame, and then an extremely supportive environment with your student success manager to help you to support the program. I would say over 80% of our attendees do work full time to do the program. This because of the part-time nature of the program itself. Will career support be there until one lands a job, or is there a specific time period? Justine and I are actually just discussing this before we got onto the program, onto the webinar. the career coaching, it's focused on outcomes based. We want to make sure that you're achieving your career goal, and it'll be available to you for a total duration of 12 months or until that outcome, your career goal, is achieved. Justine, if I'm correct in saying that we do find that learners achieve those career goals well before the 12 months for the program. So we haven't actually seen someone go through the 12 months yet.
I am just coming to the end of my first kind of group of people that I've been working with, and I certainly do have people who have already started in their new positions. It really does depend on you, because some people have got a lot going on in their life, so they can't really, if you've got a job, it's very hard to have a job, have a family, have any kind of social life and do the career accelerator. So some people do choose to kind of say, well, I'll complete the program and then I'll start working on my career goals. Other people are like, no, I'm not working at the moment. I'm doing this course and I need to get a return on this as quickly as I can. So we tend to see they start much quicker and get going. But it really just depends on you. I can't stress how individually focused it is. There isn't just one size fits all for this.
We have a question about whether, if someone is based in London and signs up for the course, is it possible to use the on-site facilities, library, work, study areas, etc.? The program is 100% online, and so access to the King's campus it's not something that is included in this program. There also isn't any need to use the library for the program. You're provided with all of the tools and resources that you need during the program, again, all online. And is there an equivalent course that is face-to-face? I don't know at King's. We're experts in the career accelerators, and they're completely online. I just think in this this digital age, for me, it feels the same. And everything is done remotely these days. So no, I'm not sure, but not that I know of is the answer there. Another question is, how early can we get career support for job hunting if we're already job hunting? Great question. Currently, you could actually start your career coaching prior to the start date of the program. It's something that I was going to mention at the end of the program, but if you sign up and you get accepted and you pay your deposit by the 25th of August, you actually get access to 2 coaching sessions prior to the start of the program. So if that's something that you want to jump on board, chat to your enrollment advisor and they'll walk you through that process. Otherwise, you start career coaching during the orientation. You have an introduction with your career coach during the orientation. The first 2 weeks of the program orientation, you'll meet your career coach, you'll outline your career goals and kind of what your plan is moving forward with that and your career coach. Anything that I left off of there, Justine, or is that pretty much it?
No, that's exactly right, Danny. You can start your coaching. You can have 2 coaching sessions before you begin the orientation if you sign up early. Generally, we meet people for the first time in the first week or 2 weeks that they start the accelerator, for an introductory kind of meet your coach kind of session. Let's talk about how we're going to work together, and then we try and have the goal setting session somewhere within the first month that you're on the course if we can. But again, it depends on your timescales.
Yes, but I can encourage chatting to your enrollment advisor and talking about whether we could, with those 2 additional coaching sessions prior to even starting the program. It's a benefit that we haven't really seen before. So I think take advantage of it while it's there. Another question is if we can book a one-to-one session just to see if the program is right for you. Yes, absolutely. We have a team of enrollment advisors that are ready and waiting to have a phone call with you and have a consultation session, discovery phase, talk to you a little bit more about the ins and outs of the program and talk to you about why it is that you're interested in UX design and see, connect what your intended career goals are with the outcomes of the program. I believe we have posted the link to book a call, but we will post it again, because we highly encourage you to have those one-to-one conversations with an enrollment advisor, because they'll walk you through step by step the program and how it's aligned to your career goals. We have another question about the group project in the program. So that's the employer project at the end of the program. Is it difficult because students have different schedules, and usually some might even rely too much on one person as a leader and expect to do everything? Well, interesting question. You've heard throughout the program, or throughout this webinar, that you get as much out of the program as that you put in. So yes, if you want to let someone else, take the reins of the employer project, you could do that. We haven't typically seen a lot of that. By the time you're at that program, as Judith mentioned, you've kind of identified which areas are your strengths and where you excel in and where you want to hone in your skills, and it balances out. In terms of different schedules, we in the beginning of the employer project, you define what you want that to look like. So you can define with your group whether you want to work completely asynchronously, whether you want to have one meeting where you discuss and break everything up. You kind of work with your group to find out what's going to work best for all of your schedules. Judith, do you have any maybe more insights into the group work component of the employer project to elaborate on that?
Yeah, it's actually a really good question, because I think we've all experienced group projects where one person has to do all the work. I think that's just standard, isn't it? It's actually not something that this is my 5th cohort, I believe I'm currently leading. It's not really something that we see in these courses, because by the time the employer project comes around, anyone who may have had difficulties with regards to timings may have already sort of tried to delay their course, but also because people seem to, as I said, I think we're all in a kind of very similar way of thinking, most people who end up on this course. I think that group dynamics can be a challenge, but most often than not, people actually figure that out. To be completely fair, there are occasions when there's 1 or 2 students in the entire cohort may not be contributing. We keep tabs on this. We keep an eye on this, both as facilitator as well as the coaches, and kind of the support staff as well, because your team, it is a hard project to do together with its own challenges. However, you would face the same challenges in a real life setting. So most teams will, without trying to throw someone under the bus, will flag that maybe someone may be experiencing difficulties. Just to give you an idea of how well people have solved these problems, I've had one team who actually only one person could join the very last presentation, which is what you get marked on, because someone was having a baby. Another person was in transit at an airport, and someone else fell ill, and they all recorded their own segments, and they've actually put a presentation together like that. So they've done a fantastic job of just pulling together from different time zones, different people, different personal challenges. And in that particular group, there was actually a personality clash as well. And they've got a great project and a great mark because they've overcome these challenges. And these are things that you would have to do in a workplace anyways. So it's really good practice for that as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that insights. It's Can I just add to that, Danny?
Please.
So we get really great feedback when people have been through the employer project and they're on the other side of it, and they talk. There's a lot that you can talk about then for your CV. So as coaches, we do try and help people kind of pull out what role did they take, if they are looking at vacancies that are looking for some acts of leadership, some leadership skills, some presentation skills, communication skills, influencing, persuasion, all those kinds of things. We can generally find those in the employer project, and they can pull those through into their CV and then talk about them at an interview. So I think the employer project is particularly useful when you are then in an interview situation, the stories that you can tell about it, and the challenges. I mean, it's overcoming the challenges that make the great story, isn't it? So, yeah. So I think it's a brilliant thing that we do. People really seem to love it. It's like the highlight of the whole thing, isn't it?
Well, it's yeah, definitely what we're working towards on the program. We do have a question about who the employer projects have been with in the past, and we've worked with Creative Navy, which is a global UX UI design firm. We've worked with Sky. Those are the two main ones that I know of. Judith, are there any more that you're privy to?
So the current one we're doing with the cohort I'm leading on, I don't know if it's under NDA. Sorry, you are actually expected to sign an NDA when you join the employer project. So because it's the first time we're doing it with them, I believe it may be under NDA. So apologies.
Well, I think that speaks to the relevance of the employer projects, right? We really want them to be, a company that we work with that is experiencing UX UI design challenge, and our team go in, they get presented the challenge, and then they work on finding solutions, UX UI focused solutions to that project, and then presenting it back to the employer. And that's how relevant these employer projects are, and how in real time they are. So it's really exciting. We've got a few portfolio examples, so reach out to your advisor, and they'll be happy to share that with you. Judith, I see you had something to add there.
Oh, I was just going to say that perhaps it's worth adding that it is just what it is. It's a microbiome and blood testing business. So it's a very complex project, but it's super fun. So I thought I could probably give that away.
Thank you. I'm sure with your interest in health tech as well, it's definitely ticking some boxes for you. We have another question about, I have no experience at all. Will this course teach me everything I need to know? I think everything I need to know is a very broad term, but certainly this program starts on, UX UI design research, and we look at the entire UX UI life cycle, from that to prototyping. And certainly we've seen learners come into the program with limited to none exposure to UX and to UI and to product design, and really transition their careers. I mean, that's why and what this program has been created for. Is the certificate received an officially recognized degree? Is it a master's degree? So the certificate is a certificate of completion from King's College London, and it's positioned at a level 7. So it is at the postgraduate level, but it's not accredited. The focus of the Career Accelerator is really working through that and developing your own digital portfolio of evidence, because as you've heard, when you go into an interview, that's what that's how you showcase your skills, and that you're ready to do the role that you've applied for. So it's more of that practical, tangible outcome from the program, as well as the career support you get throughout the program, and really being able to get the industry insights to UX and UI and product design. I'm just trying to see which other questions I can get before we have to wrap up. We've almost run out of time, actually. Maybe we can move on to the next slide in the meantime then, and any other outstanding questions I'll stay on at the end and address for you. So if we look a little bit more at a program overview, which Judith actually did mention in the beginning of the program, in the beginning of the webinar, it's 6 months, it's online, it's 20 hours a week. We start on the 27th of October, and the upfront cost of the program is £5,995. We do have various payment plans, so I do encourage you, speaking to your enrollment advisor, to see how we can make this work with your current budget for investing in yourselves and in your career. The program, we course 1, 2, and 3 really focus on that UX UI product lifecycle. You do individual projects, and then you work towards course 4, which is the employer project, which we've touched a little bit on. And we have worked in the past with Sky and with Creative Navy for a lot of our employer projects, which has been an incredible opportunity for our learners. And we can do a little bit more information on how to register for the program. So we have limited early registration benefits available, which we did touch on in the webinar. You can unlock 2 early coaching sessions and a portfolio guide. So really giving you a step-by-step insights into how to enhance your portfolio, make it more focused on how seasoned pros like to plan their portfolios, how to present it, how to build it, how to polish it, and really get interviews through that portfolio. So register and pay by the 25th of August, and you will unlock that early registration bonus, and your enrollment advisor will be able to walk you through that. So if you haven't spoken to an enrollment advisor, I highly encourage that you do that. If you have and you're ready to apply, please apply now, and you'll get your application outcome within 24 to 48 hours. And the next intake is starting on the 27th of October, but the early benefit, it has limited spaces and is only available until the 25th of August. I would like to take this time just to thank our panelists for their time and their contributions to today's info session. It was honestly incredible to hear from you. I'm part of the enrollment journey and getting learners onto the program, but it's always lovely to hear about the successes and some of the, the insights and the challenges that I've overcome during the program. So thank you to both of you for sharing all of that information. If anyone has any kind of questions that we've left, I will stay on for a few minutes just to touch on them while I let our panelists go. And if there are any panelist specific questions, I'll make sure to forward them on to Judith and to Justine, and to get you guys your answers to those questions, and to make sure that you have all the information to make the right decision for you. Judith, Justine, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Hope to see some of you soon. Bye.
Bye. For all my remaining attendees, I'll stay on for another 5 minutes and I will answer some questions. But just a reminder, this session will be recorded and the recording will be sent to you. So if you're unable to attend now, you will still see still see the answers, and you can still reach out to your enrollment advisor and book a one-on-one session with them. So thank you. We spoke a little bit about the cost of the program and what tools are included in the program. So the upfront cost for the program is £5,995, and we do have payment plans. I do encourage you to speak to your enrollment advisor about which payment plan is going to fit best with your budget for investing. Tools included on the program would be Miro and Figma. These will be they're the free versions that are available. We teach you to leverage those for the purpose of the program. Are there any career fairs offered by the program or by King's that the course attendees can attend? We would have heard Judith mention a little bit about the kind of network that the career coaches create. So internally on the program, there's a strong network where we're encouraging, any events that come up. There's nothing that we necessarily plan or facilitate through the program, but we definitely keep a loop, and keep you informed on what is available and what comes across their plates as well. Would Universal Credit fund this course? That's the first that I would have heard of it. I'm inclined to say no, but I do encourage you to reach out to your enrollment advisor and see we can go deeper into that question, into those details, and see what we can do there for you. Sorry, just looking through the questions. I've answered a few of these, so I just want to make sure that I don't repeat anything. Can one just have the career support if they've already done projects but finding it difficult to land a job? Unfortunately, not through this program. It's definitely a package deal. We want to support you through the curriculum, the theory, the industry experts that you'll have access to, and the career coaching on the program. However, some of our career coaches, as you would have heard, do have their own coaching businesses. So if you want to reach out to Judith, Justine, you'd be welcome to. Has anyone been given a return offer from the employer project? So Not that I know of on this Career Accelerator yet, but there were opportunities that came up during Judith's company. She had one of the learners contribute on a project there. It's a very strong networking opportunity through this program. We try and keep, you know, it's a really important part about changing and transitioning your career or finding a new role, and it's something that we strongly encourage through the program. Okay, it seems that we've gotten through all of the questions today. If you haven't had a chance to submit into the Q&A channel, I do encourage you to reach out to your enrollment advisor and talk to them directly. As a reminder, there are limited spaces for the early registration benefit, where you get 2 coaching sessions before the program starts, and access to your career coach, as well as access to a portfolio booster, portfolio guide that will support you throughout the program. Book a call to find out more. Spaces on the Career Accelerator are also limited. So it starts on the 27th of October. And I believe we have almost 50 places reserved already for the program. So if you're thinking about this program, I encourage you to submit that application, speak to your enrollment advisor about that early benefit, and see how we can support you in unlocking this career transition. Thank you so much for your time today. It was lovely to speak to you, to hear some of your questions and stories, and hopefully we will see you in your success stories in the next webinar. Thanks so much for your time. Have a great one. Bye.